gonna flop. Our minds about to pop. But enough of that noise. Time for the B-roll, boys. Welcome back to B-roll, boys. This week we are covering 2018's Bird Box, directed by Suzanne Bier, exclusive to Netflix, and a really shitty viral marketing campaign. I'm Justin.
Harlan.
And I'm joined by Harlan and Wes.
Hey, what's up? I'm Wes.
So, The Happening, but a little bit better?
Better in what way?
As in, it's shot like a movie, and it's acted a little bit better, but it's not, like, good. I'd say this is a hell of a lot more boring than The Happening.
Yeah, well, The Happening is a fucking blast, you know? You can watch that with the boys and have a great time, but this, like, it really drops off at a certain point.
Yeah, I got bored as fuck after the halfway mark.
We watched it with the boys and did not have a good time.
Yeah.
It is an entirely different rating scale, though. Like, I would say Bird Box is technically a better movie, but The Happening is more enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely.
It's in that, like, boring kind of bad. It's good enough to be a competent movie, but the second you start thinking about it, then it's, you know, it kind of just falls apart. Where The Happening is a train wreck from beginning to end. So you are taken on that roller coaster, and it's great. Just on that alone.
No.
What? No, bro. But so let's get started. This is starring Sandra Bullock, who is definitely on the upper edge of the getting pregnant scale. Although she doesn't look 55, so I guess that works.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of age they were trying to portray her as.
But, you know, Sandra Bullock playing a hardened shrew, as it were. She's pregnant from an unknown father, and she lives by herself and makes art, and she's kind of an asshole. And then everybody in the world starts killing themselves from an invisible monster that's never particularly well defined.
I think
it's
she's
widely
a complete
speculated to
asshole.
be some sort of biochemical attack from the Chinas or the Irans.
Relevant?
Yeah, we do have a "Make America Great Again" line.
Yeah,
just showing like this is one of those movies that just entirely exists within the space that it was released and nothing else. So it's gonna be one of those that people watch 10 years from now and they're like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
Pretty much. Well, if there's one man
there
I could believe.
A lot of Fortnite dancing in this.
If there's one man I think could make America great again, though, it's John Malkovich. That's for sure.
I really expected him to start busting out like crime statistics because he's got that energy.
He had it on the books. It was all saved, but he couldn't get it out in time.
He was ready to go.
I mean, I guess one major difference between this and The Happening is that this is shot very well. Or fairly well. I mean, it looks nice. It's shot in a red, so it's good stuff.
Yeah, it was shot on an iPhone 4. It looks pretty good.
It's very well shot nothing.
I think the editing is a little too frantic a lot of the times. Like, too many quick cuts in some places.
I think it is in the beginning, but it chills out after a certain point. I think it's supposed to give you that feeling of scattered panic, Harlan. That was an artistic choice.
Oh, God. You know what? I will say, actually, so this movie opens with Sandra Bullock. Just, you don't know what's going on. She's like talking to these kids, and she's like explaining to them like, we are about to go on a trip in a boat down this river, and it's some serious shit. And I think it's a pretty good opening scene. Like, I think Sandra Bullock gives a good performance in that scene. You know, like I bought that she was like, shit's going down, and this ain't no game. I don't know. I thought it was a good way to open in the movie. Like, it grabbed my attention. I was like, shit, what's going on? But then after that, it's just kind of like, you know, it's one of those openings where it's like, don't you want to know how we got here? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I guess, but I don't want to sit through this shit. I don't care that she's pregnant.
We don't care about you yet.
It takes way too long to answer how we got there, you know?
And then you realize you never cared about her at all because she's a fucking bitch. But
yeah, she's a totally unlikable character, and she's just kind of an asshole the whole time. I could very easily see her, like, accosting a Target assistant manager. She's got some mad Karen energy.
She's a total incel. It's really weird.
That's like, she's the opposite of an incel. She's procreating. She's with child. That's kind of diametrically opposed to what an incel is.
It's easier to be an incel woman. I'm just saying. Hot take.
I guess.
Right.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, but she's got these two little emotionless zombie children named Boy and Girl.
Smart.
And look,
that just goes in with her assholishness. It's just so ridiculous.
I know, but it's also just cringy to listen to. You've got these two little kids that are just... They're not kids. They're just objects for the plot. You know, it's an item to carry around, essentially. These kids never cry. They never emote. They have like 3 lines each. They're barely there. And they're supposed to be an extension of, oh, look at how bad of a mother Sandra Bullock is. Look at how terrible their upbringing is. Who gives a shit?
Well, it makes sense because she's emotionless. She didn't want to do it from the get-go because, like, within the first 5 minutes of the movie, she's with her sister at the OB, and she's getting checked out and everything, and she could not give less of a fuck about this kid. They're talking about drinking in front of the doctor, like leaving there and immediately going to take shots and shit.
It's like, yo, bro, you want to crack open some Modelo's? Hell yeah.
And then they're like, what's it going to be named or something, and then she just has no idea. She hasn't even thought about it. She doesn't give a fuck.
And she's
then,
like
even when
she's like in the 3rd trimester, like this baby's about to pop out. And like, I don't know. I just find it really unbelievable that a person would be that far along and just not have considered any of these things, you know?
Yeah, and just be so fucking cold.
Like, she's not giving it up for adoption, but she's got 0 consideration. She lives in like a little 1-bedroom apartment, whatever, and her sister's like, "Where's this baby gonna live?" She's like, "I don't know."
Yeah,
wherever, I guess.
Even the doctor knew she was so fucking shitty, like just from talking to her for 5 minutes, that she gave her a pamphlet for adoption. Like, this kid does not need to live with you or be anywhere near you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of a weird push and pull that I have with the beginning here, where I think that it drags ass. But at the same time, I guess you want to have some semblance of character, because when shit hits the fan, we're supposed to care about it. Otherwise, we have the World War Z thing where, like, everything hits the fan in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was a decent mix of that. Like Harlan said, I did enjoy, like, the opening monologue thing, even though we kind of see it again later, because it's like a how did we get here sort of thing.
Right.
But then she talks to the doctor, and then they're leaving the doctor's office, and they just see this chick ramming her face into a window. That was pretty cool.
I like how neutrally everybody reacted to that. There's a couple bystanders that are like, "Oh, please stop," but everyone's just kind of like,
Yeah, all the orderlies were like, "We see this 10 times a day, so just move on."
The other thing about that is, like, she walks by that same woman just a few minutes earlier in the movie, and, like, the camera like makes a point to focus on her for a minute, as if to show you, like, look how normal she is. She's very normal. And then later,
this will be reincorporated in 3 seconds.
And I just don't understand what the point of that was, because it's like, yeah, I can assume, like, if that wasn't there and we saw her later bashing her head against the window, I could assume that she's never done that before.
That's her king, Harlan.
I don't know nowadays, man.
I think it's pretty safe
2018.
to assume.
That's true.
Honestly, in the time we're living in now, that's pretty true to life.
You're just going to assume something's wrong with her?
If I went to Kroger and saw that, I probably wouldn't break stride.
Yeah, because it's just normal to just ignore shit. Last time I walked through Kroger, there was people banging their heads on the wall, shooting up heroin. I just got my fucking dino nuggets and went home.
That's how it'd be living in Ackworth.
You're the only person to ever buy Dino Nuggets and Busch Light in the same transaction.
Hey, I would never drink Busch Light. That's PBR only, sir.
That cultured shit. But it starts, the inciting incident is exactly the same as the happening.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like we're just going to beat that dead horse into the ground that it's
I mean, you can't
exactly
avoid
like
it.
that happening, but it's the
yeah.
same premise. It's, like I said, handled a little bit better, I guess. We're kind of supposed to give a shit about these people, but all of the deaths, especially early on, are just really funny. Like when the sister, she looks ahead while driving and her eyes get all dilated, and they throw some CGI nonsense in her iris and all this, and then she gets in a car accident, gets out, and then just like walks backward into an oncoming truck
while staring Sandra Bullock straight in the eyes while she does it.
She even like T-poses when she does it. Like she like raises her arms out. She's just like, Jesus, take the wheel,
And then the next person that kills themselves like just gets right into a burning car, like so casually.
She's just hotboxing it.
Going back to the sister, I think that's the first time, and I guess that's like technically 5 to 10 minutes within the movie. That's the first time you really start to notice that they didn't really think shit out and it doesn't really make any sense. Like the whole point is like you're seeing all this shit, and I guess there's like, they imply that there's like creatures, like the Quiet Place, I guess, but you're never actually seeing them. So she sees it in the middle of like a busy street. They're driving. There's people everywhere, but somehow the sister is the only person that saw it that time. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like a personal thing, because sometimes everybody can like see or hear where the thing's supposed to be, but other times it's isolated like that. So there's just no consistency really.
Well, I don't think that scene was really supposed to imply that she was the only one seeing it. It's just that Sandra Bullock was the only person immediately next to her, and she was like digging for some shit in the back seat. So she just happened to be looking away.
But she eventually looks forward, so I wonder if it's just like they like manifest differently for each, like they manifest independently for each person kind of thing, which is dumb because that rule is broken later. So here's my biggest problem with this, and it's the same shit that I didn't like about A Quiet Place, in that it's a movie that spends the first half of itself building up these rules. Okay, these are intangible, invisible creatures. They can't break through barriers. That they can go through trees later. They can't go through barriers. If you look at them, you get kind of ensnared, and you either become this, like, you either kill yourself on the spot or do everything you can to kill yourself, or you become this almost like a siren, and you get other people to look at it and kill themselves, kind of like spreading the word, I guess. But and then they build up a bunch of different scenarios because Sandra Bullock finds this other group of survivors that are barricading in the nicest house ever. And I just love that fucking kitchen. So good.
Oh, that's another thing that doesn't make any sense. Like, she's running down the street after her sister kills herself, and then she like slips, and then immediately this chick runs out of the house to go save her. I mean, it's not like, I know she's pregnant, but you're not going to be able to notice that like from 50 feet away, and like, oh no, I gotta help her. And she was John Malkovich's wife, and he goes to save her, and then she sees it and then climbs into a burning car and then dies. And then she runs up to the house. It's like there was like hundreds of people running by the house, but Sandra Bullock was the only one that they gave a shit about for some reason.
Two things about that is, so it happened earlier with Mallory, the main character's sister. Again, like, she sees one of these creatures, I guess, and she's like, what the hell is that? And, like, she comments on it before she starts trying to kill herself. And then, like, a few minutes later, Lydia, John Malkovich's wife, she's like, she sees the creature and she's like, Mom, please don't go. And she, like, comments on it in a different way. And I mean, I guess you can just say that it, like, manifests itself differently, but it's just annoying that they kind of drop that, like, I mean, like, not that much, not very much further into the movie. I mean, people just immediately kill themselves. Like, they never comment on what they're seeing again. I don't know. I just thought it was weird that they dropped that. And then, also...
So they're like Dementors.
When Lydia climbs into the burning car and just, kind of hotboxes it, John Malkovich, like, he tells her not to... he's like, no, don't go save her. And, rather than, being a good husband and, like, trying to, like, physically restrain her or something,
That's
he
it,
just
rather
waits
than
in the
doing
house.
anything.
Yeah, he's like, no, don't save her. And then she's like, I have to. She's pregnant. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to go inside and wait. And he just watches.
Get the fuck back in here. I'm watching MASH.
Yeah, he just watches from
his
the
wife go
window.
out.
And even when she's, like, walking towards this burning car, he just watches her do it. And, like, she gets in the car and he just watches her do it. And I'm like, you were the shittiest husband. Like, you didn't even, like,
then he
try to do
watches-
anything.
Then he watches as Sandra Bullock comes in, and then the whole time he just has this expression on his face like, huh, that's weird.
She's never
That
done that
shouldn't be
before.
happening.
He's pretty oddly neutral for someone that just watched his wife burn to death.
Yeah.
He's just kind of mildly annoyed the whole time.
And that was his third wife, and he said he liked her the most, so imagine the
I was
other
like,
two.
I like that one because she didn't fucking hate my guts. So she was an angel. But yeah, so then we get this ensemble cast of generally annoying characters. We have what the fuck is his name? Tom, who's like a construction worker. We have the bigger dude from Get Out who plays a grocery store worker, and he's the
hate him.
revelatory
God,
that you have to
he's
have in
annoying in
every
this
single disaster movie. The guy that's like, oh, this is an apocalypse, and everyone's like, what?
Yeah, he's the one that, like,
And
has
then
to
he
explain,
spells the
like,
plot
the
out.
Mayans predicted this, or this ancient civilization knew this shit was gonna happen. They talked about it. Or, like, he, like, ties some religious thing into it. There's always gotta be that one guy in this movie. And unfortunately, he's that guy, and he's attempting to be the comedic relief, and he's just annoying as shit, and I was happy to see him die.
Yeah, and he's also the nerd, so they try to combine like 3 archetypes in his one character.
God,
Yeah, the good thing is he gets fucking killed horribly in like 15 minutes, so it's good. Oh, and you have Machine Gun Kelly in there, and he's just hanging out. He hangs out to fuck the female cop, and then they dip.
Yeah, like they didn't know what to do with him, so they just left.
I was gonna
Like,
ask you
oh,
guys
we've got-
how you felt about that, because I've heard some people be like, well, it was realistic that they just left, because like that's how it would be if somebody just left and you just never heard from them again. I'm like, I guess.
I
That
think it
doesn't
could
make it,
actually
like,
be brilliant.
A good scene.
I think it could be brilliant because Bird Box did incredibly well for Netflix. So they could totally make a Bird Box 2 and then just show what happened to them or something. I just imagine they're going to do something else within the Bird Box universe just because it did so well.
It's
And
really
it's Netflix,
weird.
so why not?
It's weird to me how well this movie did, and I mean, there's no box office. It's just Netflix downloads. But
No Bird Box office?
Oh.
shut up. But this was accompanied with like the most forced, in-your-face, quote-unquote viral marketing campaign with a bunch of dickheads rocking around with blindfolds, being like, it's the Bird Box Challenge. It reminded me of planking. Probably like the same IQ level, roughly, and
Wait,
people like walking into traffic.
Was that a marketing
Was
campaign,
that
or were people just doing that?
Because you kept mentioning the viral marketing thing, and I didn't know that that's what you were talking about. Because
Yeah.
I thought just people were doing that because people are fucking stupid.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe it's like I don't know if the movie, like Netflix, directly started that, or if it was just people that started doing that. But whatever it was, that perpetuated how popular this movie would become.
Yeah.
And like there were so many memes about it and posts about it and people doing these fucking videos and walking into traffic and doing stupid shit. And then I watched this and I was like, that's it? This is a really mediocre movie to be the biggest thing in the world for like a month or whatever it was.
Yeah, because like it's the
Yeah,
same quality as
Justin-
any other Netflix movie. It just happens to have Sandra Bullock and John Malkovich in it. And it's,
Justin, I can confirm Justin indeed passed the fuck out the first time we watched this. I don't know if you remember, we watched it on New Year's Eve at my place. And
I do remember. I was
like 20 minutes in, he passed out on my couch. Granted, it was
I
New
was
Year's Eve and he'd been drinking for a little bit, but
I was about to say
it didn't
I was
take long.
extremely drunk. And I passed out, and then I watched it like a week later. I was like, "Well, I'm kind of glad I passed out the first time."
Yeah, and then I tucked him in.
That's
and that
probably
was
the
it.
greatest. That's the best state to be watching this in. To be fair,
it's true.
Sleep.
I'm also kind of surprised that this took place in America. Just thinking about it.
Why's that?
Like,
Oh,
well, because they would not figure out how this shit worked that fast, because immediately they're like, don't look at it, it makes you kill yourself or whatever. One of them says that shit.
Yeah,
but
this is America. Within like 5 minutes.
This is America. We know someone can't stay in their house for 2 fucking days right now, and like everyone would fucking just rubberneck and go outside and just be like, oh, what's that? Everybody would be fucking dead in 10 minutes.
Government can't make me see. It's like, yeah, like if there was a government thing saying, oh, you have to wear a blindfold, there'd be the motherfuckers like, no, can't make me live. I'll fucking kill myself. It's my American right. Obama. Yeah, so everyone quickly figures out that they have to navigate with blindfolds and put shit over the windows, which again, these monsters can't go inside. I don't know how they differentiate between what inside means, and whenever people are opening the doors or windows, the monster can't get inside to where you... Because every single time that somebody is like converted or that they start to want to kill themselves, they're looking outside or they already are outside. The monster is never in the house, and the people are free to look around inside the house.
Right, as long as they don't look out the window.
Didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, because like they go to a grocery store and it's not in there either.
And it's totally safe, even though a grocery store is huge.
So can they not cross thresholds? Like even if you open the door, they can't come in? Are they fucking vampires?
Yeah, they're like vampire rules.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like anti-vampires. Because they can only be outside.
A lot of the characters wear blindfolds for most of the movie, just so, you know, they don't like accidentally open their eyes or something. And but yeah, like they're always like, they have the blindfolds on, but their eyes are open underneath the blindfolds.
Yeah, you can see like, through that shit. Like,
yeah, you can see quite a bit through. You can at least see like silhouettes through the blindfolds, and I'm like, so what's the line here? Like if you see, I guess this movie would say that if you see the silhouette, that's not enough. But like, I don't know, like you can see quite a bit through the holes in these blindfolds. Like I feel like that should be enough to say, nope, you're out.
Yeah,
you could probably see enough to like walk around. Is my guess anyway.
It just doesn't make any sense, like what people see and what they don't. Maybe that's also another thing about the personal manifestation thing. But like some people have to be looking directly at it. Like her sister was like, "What the fuck is that?" And then like freaked out for a few minutes, or not a few minutes, but like a minute before she killed herself. And then later in the movie, not to really jump ahead, but someone opened a window. And the second they opened the window, someone immediately, their eyes changed and they were like taken over. Like the second the window was open. Yeah. So was something waiting outside the window and was just hovering there? Or, you know, just kind of hard. Yeah. Was he just vibing out there?
He's camping. So we go to this grocery store. Like, basically they run, I think it's like a week or something that goes by, and these people have exhausted all of the food in the house and all of the food in like the neighboring houses, so they decided to go to the grocery store because that's where the annoying guy from Get Out works. And that's where John Malkovich drops the line. He's like, "We're making the apocalypse great again."
Because he's fisting whiskey the whole time.
It's kind of supposed to be this like kind of moment, and everyone's like, "Wow, John Malkovich, that's great. Thanks for the."
Again, that line was improvised.
There's no way.
You fucking know that was one of those things where like the screenwriter wrote that and he was just like, "Fuck yeah, dude, topical."
This is gonna make people talk about this movie. They're gonna talk about this scene.
This lives in 2018, bro. Whoa! Like, fucking dumb.
Oh yeah.
It was like in Bright when Will Smith was like, "Fairy lives don't matter today." And I'm just like, okay. Thanks for the
awful.
The buzzword phrase of the day, Will Smith and Bright.
Kind of want to see
this
that
stupid fucking movie.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the passage of time is like really poorly communicated, but I think that they're holed up in this house for like a week-ish, or 2 weeks, I think. And just want to point out that the guy who works at the supermarket, who is the nerd and the comedic relief, supposedly, he does not take off his uniform the whole time. Like, even like the vest that he wears. Like, because he's got normal clothes on besides the vest and his name tag, but he never takes the vest off, and I just thought that was annoying.
I think...
Did you live by the You live by the job, you die by the
No,
job,
man.
dude.
I guess so,
Since
man.
I started working,
He fucking died
whenever
there.
I get home, my work shit is off the second I enter my fucking door. I can't stand wearing that shit. The fact that somebody would just keep one of those vests on is just blows my mind.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, and the name tag too.
I didn't even notice
Yeah,
that.
they camp out for a while, and they're like, oh, we need food, and so they go, they hop into this Jeep that has like built-in GPS and proximity sensors, and they're like, oh, the car can see for us, so we don't have to look. So they put newspaper all over the windows, and it's one of those moments where it's like, I think it's one of the biggest or most egregious instances of this movie breaking its own rules. Is they've established that like these creatures are intangible, and like they have not been able to physically interact with us or our environment at all, but they start like pushing the car and like just like fucking with it, like to scare them, and that's it. And yeah, like the car's sensors can like tell that they're there, like they're all around the car, but then eventually they just kind of give up and go home, and then they get to the supermarket.
Yeah, and for some reason, the nerdy guy, he wants to get out of the car while that's happening. He's like,
He wants to get out from
exactly.
From
See what I did
2017.
there? No, but yeah, he sees all the shit happening
Got
around.
him.
He knows for a fact that I guess they can't go into anything, and he's like, "Oh no, let me outside." Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
He also has.
And they get to the supermarket. Oh,
I
sorry.
was just gonna say probably what you were about to get into, that he has the dumbest death in the entire movie, that I think anyway.
I wasn't quite there
Okay.
yet. I was just gonna point out real quick that they get to the supermarket and it's locked. Like he has to like take his store keys and unlock the gate. But then they get in and the place is like fucking ransacked. And I'm like, why was it locked if it's been ransacked already?
Was it ransacked? I thought the whole idea was that.
Yeah, there was shit all over the floor. Like,
I guess that's true.
it
Yeah,
looked like it had been looted.
It looked like maybe it was looted
Yeah.
I
by
think
like
that
a
was-
handful of people, and that was it. Maybe.
I
think it was supposed to communicate that people were leaving there in a hurry because like the shelves were all stocked.
Yeah.
Like if it was ransacked, then half the, like Wes said while we were watching this, if this was true to life, then all the fucking bread, milk, and eggs would be gone.
All the long-lasting stuff would be gone.
Yeah, but like you look at these canned food aisles and the booze, like man, the booze would be the first thing
Dude,
gone.
no one even touched the Frito bean dip. It was behind one of the characters, and that shelf was full.
What kind of grocery store is this where they're selling hard liquor, by the way?
I don't even know. I can't even think of one.
Because it looked like kind of a shitty grocery store. I was like, is this an Ingles? Does Ingles have whiskey?
It's probably Winn-Dixie or Food Lion.
What city is this supposed to be in again? I know it's in California.
I had no idea.
Because
Yeah, it's Northern California. I know that.
okay. Because Sandra Bullock describes to Tom, who's played by Trevante Rhodes, who's like the only other character that's kind of likable a little bit, because he's like a good guy. In fact, he's the only likable character now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Everyone else sucks or is an
John
idiot.
Malkovich is an asshole, but he's enjoyable to watch. Tom's the only like legit, actual cool dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess I know we're skipping around here, but like right beforehand, there's another pregnant girl, the epitome of like the dumbass millennial that you don't like, named Olympia, played by Daniel MacDonald, and she's the kind of person that would instantly come in and be like, "Oh my God, what's your Hogwarts house? Oh my God, I'm a Ravenclaw too."
Yeah,
And she just sucks. Or no, because she said that she wants to name her kids after, like, I don't, if it's
Disney
a girl, I meant, like
princesses.
Ariel or Jasmine.
she said
and it's like,
Cinderella.
oh.
She's gonna call her Ella.
Great.
Weren't you paying attention?
God.
Yeah, this character annoys the shit out of me. Not just because of that, because you're right. Like, she's totally the kind of person that would be like, "Oh my gosh, this BuzzFeed test says that I'm grape jelly. What are you?" But like, she's
Such
just
a
like,
Gemini.
She's the person you hide on
she's
Facebook,
totally-
but you don't delete.
yeah, she's totally helpless in addition to that. And I mean, granted, she acknowledges it in the movie. She's like, I'm spoiled. I've had everything handed to me. But I mean, yeah, she's just like always on the verge of tears and just like needing emotional support and just being generally annoying and useless. And
basically
I was
the kind of person that I would... I'm pretty sure just being within vicinity of her would be enough to make me vomit for all those reasons.
Yeah. You could just
sense she's a really annoying
fucking annoying, needy people.
She's just barely the most annoying character in this movie, and I say that only because the nerdy supermarket employee died just a little bit sooner than her. If he had been in the movie longer, he might have taken it. But
you mean
yeah, the characters are just generally really annoying.
I just hate Sandra Bullock in this movie so much. Just her character is just such a piece of shit that no one else really even bothers me that much. But
I think she does a good job at it, but it's a very one-dimensional kind of performance.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, where the entire thing is her exasperated and generally yelling and just being a prick, so there's not much else there. She has no
character arc.
But, like, she at least does that well, but that's more of a credit to Sandra Bullock, and that's giving criticism.
Yeah, she's a good actress for the part,
Jesus.
But the character is just a piece of shit. Like, she's just a bitch through the entire thing until the last 2 minutes of the movie, where she finally names both of her 5-year-old kids.
Yeah, I mean, we hit like a lot of the post-apocalyptic beats, like a supply run gone wrong, and there's a new element introduced. Like, the way that the nerdy guy dies is because one of his coworkers was basically like pretending to be in need of help outside of the grocery store so they could let him in, and he turns out to be one of these that's just going to drag them outside and then instantly like open their eyes and be like, here, you need to see. And I don't know how this works because that guy's trying to barge his way in, and the nerdy guy, Gary, basically tackles him through the door, and then within seconds you see a fucking pool of blood coming out from underneath the door, and I'm like, man, that was fast.
He 100%. Okay,
yeah,
was there like a switchblade right there?
He 100%
I'm glad you
didn't
said
need
that,
to
because the thing that bugged me about that is like, yeah, because I remembered from the first time I watched this movie, I thought that like, that Fish Fingers, his employee that was pretending to be in need of help,
Fish
I thought
Fingers.
That's a good nickname.
I thought that he kills him, but that's not what happens, as I found out when I rewatched this. So he's like trying to barge in, and like 3 people can't hold this one guy back. So Charlie's like, fuck, man. And so he like tackles him out the door so that they can close it. And then you immediately hear him say, look, Charlie, it's beautiful. And then Charlie's like, oh my God. And then you see a pool of blood, and it's like, what did he do?
I forgot that character's name was Charlie. I thought he was Gary.
No, I think Gary was the Asian guy from earlier. I think. The gay one. I don't know. I know his name was Charlie, but anywho.
No, Gary was the one that came in as like a sleuth and then started ripping all the shit off the walls.
Well, that's right.
Off the windows.
Yeah, the drunk Chip Zdarsky.
Just going back to that, though, he didn't need to die whatsoever. There was 3 people holding him from getting into the store. Why did he have to tackle him through the door and go outside? He could have just, I don't know, tackled the other people or the other side of the door and just like, it would have chopped his arm off. Because he was like halfway through.
Were you complaining, though? I could have cheered.
No, I mean, it's just, even if I hate the character, a stupid death is a stupid fucking death. He didn't need to die. It could have been more gruesome or shown on camera or something. But yeah, the guy's like halfway through the door, his arm's hanging out, and he had to tackle him outside of the door and just get fucking killed. And he was the most pussy member of the entire group. He wouldn't have done that.
That was his character arc. He found his courage.
Everyone's character arcs in this movie is staying exactly the same until 30 seconds before they die.
Yeah. So we get back, and since Danielle MacDonald is also pregnant, of course we have the thing where if we've got 2 pregnant characters, they have to both give birth at the same fucking time.
Like the exact same time.
The second that I saw that, the first girl's water broke, I was like, oh, here it comes. Sandra Bullock is going to give birth to, and lo and behold, sing with me if you know the words, it fucking happens. Like, that's what these stupid, lazy movies do. Create instant conflict by bullshit coincidences like that.
Yeah, we should talk about Gary a little bit, by the way.
Because he's been dead.
Yeah. Another person shows up at the door, and again, Olympia, the useless, annoying other pregnant girl, lets him in without consulting anyone. She lets him in, and of course he turns
zodiac
out
sign.
She's like, "Oh, I'm a Gemini too. Come on in."
Oh my god, twinsies!
She lets him in without consulting anyone, and then of course he turns out to be, a spy for the creatures.
Which I don't. So here's the thing I'm confused by, because they establish with the Asian guy that also hilariously falls over and brains himself in this chair, because he gets corrupted because he's looking through like the security cameras on his house, and he's seeing,
which he mentions a week after the fact that they're there.
Yeah, he sees the monster, I guess, in those cameras, and then dies. So it's like, oh, we can't see these through like backup cameras or through anything. Like, there's no way. We have to literally travel blind. And so, yeah, this guy comes in, and she's like, "What Hogwarts house are you?" And he says Slytherin, and then she lets him in. And then I'm not sure, because he's drawing pictures of the monster. Is he corrupted by looking at the pictures that he drew, or was it like this, this espionage thing where I guess the monsters are allowing him to act normal for a little bit, and then he fucks them all up while the two girls are giving birth?
Yeah, he's like the only one like that too, like the smart one. Like the rest of them are basically like fucking zombies. But he comes in, he's scheming, he has a plan. He's there for maybe even like a full couple of days. Yeah, maybe like 2 or 3 days at this point. We don't really know.
That's what I was gonna say too, Wes. Is that like the intelligence of the pawns seems to be pretty inconsistent. He really bides his time so that he can do as much damage as possible and get as many people to see the creatures. And he waits for at least a couple days until the babies are born, and then he starts fucking shit up. But any other time we see pawns in this movie, they seem to really just be acting entirely on impulse. Like, they do anything they can to get you to look in that moment. Like, they don't seem to have the intelligence or the control to be able to do something smart to trick you into taking off your blindfold or whatever.
Yeah, because a few minutes before that, he said a "how do we get here" moment when the movie started. They're trying to go down river to a sanctuary. Well, throughout the entire movie, they keep cutting back and forth, and before that guy's whole big scheme, it shows them fighting off a crazy dude in the river. Be like, "Come here, you have to see." He was immediately hostile and fucking crazy. But then this other guy's able to just infiltrate their house for a week and, and then fuck everything else up.
He gets to hang out, he eats, he sleeps.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it have been smarter for the guy on the river to just not say anything and just sneak up on their boat? That would have
He's just creeping through the water like Gollum.
Yeah, instead of "Hey, you with the blindfolds on."
Yeah, he calls out to them, and I'm like, why did you make your presence known? It would have been a lot more effective to just sneak up to their boat.
Those kids look nice and alive. Be a shame if something changed that. Oh, it's
so stupid. It's when the house owner guy died, like you said, he was looking at a camera, but they tied him to a chair just in case him seeing him through the cameras would fuck him up.
Yeah,
and then they all just
alone.
left and went downstairs.
For a
they
while,
tied
too.
his arms to his desk chair arms. Yeah, what if he had to piss? He had to yell through his own house, "Hey, I gotta piss, let me out."
You don't even have anyone to talk to.
I just have a couple problems with that. They leave him there alone. So if they see him start wincing and shit, they couldn't just go shut his fucking computer off or smack his monitor down or something. And then after they hear him freaking out upstairs, he moves his chair around so much that he falls and breaks his neck on a table or something sitting off to the side.
He hits his head on, I think it's a fireplace.
Yeah, everyone has a fireplace in their bedroom, rich asshole. But on that same thing though, why they could have used that as like another plot point, maybe, because what I was thinking was, if they're going to tie him to a chair that he can't move, he can't possibly kill himself. I mean, I know he fell in that fireplace, but what if they did that to somebody else, or they did this in the first place? They just pushed somebody outside to just see what would happen and then interview them afterwards. So they couldn't kill themselves. They're like, okay, you saw the thing, what the fuck was it? We haven't got any straight answers out of anybody. Yeah, they could have just like wheeled him outside for a few minutes and then brought him back in and be like, so what happened?
You're putting way too much thought into this.
Yeah, I'm sure this movie would say...
anything would have been better. Anything would have been better than just leaving him alone tied to his office chair.
Yeah, and
this isn't fucking Gerald's game.
It's not like by... It's not like
you
by
think
being
about
in the
what
room.
You did, mister.
It's not like by being in the room with him they were in danger too, because like he's sitting in front of a computer monitor, but there's plenty of room on the other side of it, so they could have just like not looked at the screen at all and not even come close to looking at the screen. There's really no reason to leave him alone. It was a giant office, and it was like his desk was right in front of his window, and his monitors were facing towards the window. So there's the entire rest of the house could have chilled in that room with him and never even have seen the thing. Yeah, there was really no reason for that.
Shut up, it's good.
And so I don't understand how it attacks through the camera lens either. Why does seeing it through a camera affect it if you see a glimpse of it through your like cloth blindfold doesn't?
Maybe it's supposed to be like the happening where it sets off like a chemical in your brain that makes you kill yourself. So just any stimulus regarding that or any visual stimulus regarding that would send you into that craze. Now I wonder, like, if someone was up there with that guy when he was bugging out, and like, yeah, you smack the monitor away. Like, I wonder, is there an expiration like where that doesn't happen anymore? Like, are they dead right in that moment? How long would he have to be like bugging out? Like, if you hog-tied him, would he just sit there and wriggle forever until he finally died?
Yeah, or would he be like a smooth brain like that one dude and just fucking try to convert them for 3 days? Like, you don't know what's going to happen.
It'd be pretty funny if that guy was like dropping little hints. He's like, pretty nice sunset out. And they're like,
It's like, hey, you.
Man, guys, look, a double rainbow.
Yo, bro, what does that mean?
All the way across the sky.
Oh my god. Well, I think it's supposed to be like a psychological thing that makes you kill yourself rather than like a chemical one. Because, yeah, again, like Gary is in the house later, and just before he turns on everyone, like you see that he has these drawings of what the creatures would probably look like, and they're like very Lovecraftian, with like their tentacles and shit, and their
yeah, this dude drew Cthulhu. Get out of here, fucking movie.
Yeah, basically. But I mean, I think that's supposed to be the gist of it. It's like, your mind just can't comprehend what you're seeing, so you just have no choice but kill yourself. And yeah, I mean, he mentions that like...
So it's a slightly less stupid happening?
I don't know about that. But he mentions, like, when he first got there that, like, he was attacked by people from some institute for the mentally ill. So yeah, there's supposed to be some implication that like the people who are pawns of the creatures are that way because they had some mental illness in the first place. So I guess there's some kind of tie there. I don't know, but it's still really inconsistent.
So like totally forgot that plot point.
So good people see horrible things and kill themselves, and then just crazy ass people just become its pawn.
Yeah, they just get to have a good time and murder people.
That's fun.
I don't know. I kind of thought it was like
they're just having a good time.
I thought it was like just an 80-20 split. Like you just have the ability to like, oh, you're gonna be like the siren for this thing now. It's a different kind of apocalypse instead of having like the runners and clickers kind of thing.
It's very Stephen King to me, just to have that.
Actually, yeah, that is a very like Stephen King thing. But yeah, so essentially, like after this Gary guy breaks in, like pretty much almost everybody fucking dies except for Tom and Sandra Bullock and the two Sprogs.
And Girl and Boy.
Yeah, named Girl and Boy. And then, you know, Sandra Bullock establishes a relationship with this Tom guy, and then they have these. What is it supposed to be, like 5 years? I think.
Yeah.
The passage of time, where
yeah,
like
5 years.
The babies are little kids now. Again, little kids that don't cry or emote at all. They just kind of hang out and exist as objects for the plot. And they hear on a walkie-talkie like, oh yeah, there's a community here and it's safe and you need to go down this river, but it means that you're gonna have to go through these rapids and look. Okay, so I guess here's my question, because this person gives them directions on where to go and says, oh, by the time you have to get to the rapids, you have to look. Why not, when you are feeling that you are getting close to the rapids, because you can hear that. You can hear water rushing. Mm-hmm. Get out of the boat
and you can
just
feel yourself going faster.
Yeah, just like if you can in some way. I don't know how you do this blindfolded. You know, maybe I'm stupid, but you pull over to the side and then just follow the riverbed, because you're gonna be close enough by that point anyway. Okay, the risk could be that there's more like the crazy people that could kill you, but alternative being that you drown.
Yeah.
When you're already like 90% of the way there, it just seems kind of stupid. And like, I mean, these kids could fucking freeze. I don't know if they're, because the boy says he's cold. Yeah, and then the movie just kind of shits along until the end, and we get, she gets to hear like all the voices of the dead people that she's lost, and that's their way of like the monster's way of trying to entice her. And then we get to the end. The big dumb and where she just...
What's crazy is everything you just said is like the last 40 minutes.
Yeah, but
this movie, I know it's dumb and it's a horror movie, but like halfway through it, you're kind of with it, things are happening, and then it just turns into fucking board box.
It grinds to a fucking halt.
Yeah, that's the thing is like... For the first half of this movie, I was like, shit, I'm gonna be the one defending this movie, like, because, I mean, like, I don't... Like, I like the first, like, scene with Sandra Bullock, and then after that, like, it's like, I was like, this is, it's good. Like, it's not, it's not great, but I mean, like, it's entertaining.
Passable.
It's holding my, like, it's competent. But then, yeah, like pretty much after, like, Gary, like, kills everyone in the house and all those people die. Pretty much from that point on, like, the movie just kind of grinds to a halt, and it feels like nothing is happening.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and right before Tom dies, because there's like I can call them raiders, I guess. He hears them outside when they're about to go to the river, and he's like, "You go on ahead." He's like, "You go on ahead. I'll hold them off," and then he just dies arbitrarily. And he does that cliche fucking shit where he takes his necklace off and puts it in Sandra Bullock's hand, and then it becomes like this keepsake. And I'm just like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah, and
every stupid zombie movie ever.
Yeah, the pawns show up and they're like, "Come out, we got something to show you." Hee and he's immediately like, "Go, I'll hold them off as long as I can." And like, he's just immediately like, "I'll sacrifice myself to save you." And like, he doesn't even try to do anything else. He's just immediately like, "I will let them kill me so that you can get away." And it's just like, why did you immediately jump to that? Like, you didn't even consider anything else. I don't know. I didn't see anything about the situation that indicated that it was hopeless for him.
I mean, I guess it's because like otherwise all four of them would just be like meandering around blind. And if he can kill them, then whatever. And I think he does kill all of them, but then he takes off his blindfold so he can shoot these people, but then like one of the monsters overtakes him and he just blows his brains out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he kills like 3 of them blind with a shotgun first shot. He's the most accurate person I've ever seen in a horror movie.
Yeah.
When he has a fucking blindfold on.
Yeah. And then...
Oh, yeah, speaking of which, before he takes his blindfold off, like, he's standing on the steps of this house, and he's, like, pointing a shotgun at them, and he's like, y'all best get to stepping now. And they're like, "Nah, man, take off your blindfold. We got you surrounded." And, like, one of them, like, reaches out with, like, a stick to, like, try and, like, get his blindfold off.
It's like a giant hook.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like a big Bugs Bunny hook.
Yeah, it felt very Looney Tunes-esque for her to just be like, "I'm gonna get you," with their little stick.
I forgot about that. Yeah, it just comes out from like off screen, and he's just trying to take his blindfold off.
Yeah,
it reminds me of the end of V for Vendetta, where they're like, "Now it's done with. Take off your mask." But yeah, so skipping ahead a little bit, because the next sequence is just, they go down the river. they fall out of the boat because of the rapids, and then they somehow get their way to the shelter, which is a community for the blind, but not everyone else is blind.
It's a school for gifted blindsters.
Yeah, it's like, okay. And somehow it's like a giant greenhouse, and the overhangs just have these vines, which I guess the monsters can't get through, or you can't see them through that. Doesn't make any fucking sense because they can move through trees the entire time.
Even though there's a lot of sunlight.
They have this garden courtyard thing, and it's like a mesh roof with flowers and vines on it. It can't go through that, but it can go through the fucking forest and shit to get to them.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that it's like, you know, the kind of greenhouse where it's like essentially like a cage roof, you know, like it's like crossed, you know, like metal with like, you know, vines and shit growing through it. But again, like there are plenty of holes.
Well, if it's an intangible creature,
and there's like plenty of sunlight pouring in through it. So I'm like, why can you not like just see enough through that? Whatever, I don't care.
That's also a super, super fucking dope ass courtyard, considering it's for blind people.
I mean, they're not. Too. It's not just blind people. There's like normal seeing.
Well,
people
too. So the nurses have something to look at.
I guess. Yeah.
Teachers have something to look at. No, get out of here.
I don't know, man. I didn't fucking write it. I was so checked out of the movie by this point. I could have cried when the credits came around, because this is a long 2 hours.
Yeah, the last like 40 minutes could have been edited down to like 20 minutes, and it would have probably been better.
Yeah, I mean, there was that whole part where, you know, like they make a stop at some point. Oh yeah, because Boy falls out of the boat, and in the scramble to get him back in the boat, they lose all their supplies. They lose their food and their blankets and shit. And so Mallory is like, oh, fuck, we need to get more shit. And so they like pull the boat off at just some spot on the shore, and then she tells the kids to wait there, and then she just like goes and finds a house. And I'm like, how the fuck did you know that house was there? Even if it was like on the map that she was looking at before, how did she know that she was in that spot, you know? I don't
she went right to the front steps.
Yeah, like it seemed like she knew exactly where she was going, and I'm like, how did you know that was there? And yeah, like it just seemed like a pretty pointless detour, because she gets in and she gets some shit, and and sure enough, like, you know, like some creatures show up and spook her a little bit, and then she gets her shit and they get in the boat and they leave, and I was like, okay, what was the point of that? Like, why make them lose their supplies in the first place?
They created drama for like 60 seconds.
Yeah, we had to create conflict where there would otherwise be no conflict.
Just like their character arcs.
And that was like at least 6-minute detour. Why did that need to be there? Could have cut that out.
After that's pretty much the end of the movie.
Well, I want to rewind a little bit to when Gary turns on everyone. Of course, like right when the babies are born, and he's like, oh, can like he has just tried to throw John Malkovich under the bus, like, 'cause John Malkovich tried to shoot him earlier, and so they all banished him to the garage, right? And then so Gary tries, he with him locked in there, he opens the garage, and he's like, no, you've doomed me. And I'm like, you can just keep your back turned and you'll be okay, just don't look outside.
Yeah, I was like, why is that a thing?
Yeah, and then Tom sees that he's up to some shit, and he hits Tom over the head with a can of food. And that's all he does. Like, he doesn't finish the job. He just hits him over the head with a can of food and knocks him out. And he goes upstairs, and the babies have been delivered, and everything's good. And Melanie's like, Mallory. What's her name? Is it Mel? I don't know. Sandra Bullock is like...
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Mallory.
Sandra Bullock's like... What's Sandra Bullock's like...
Gravity Mom.
Gravity Mom.
Gravity Mom.
She's like, what's going on down there? And he just doesn't answer her question. He's like, can I see the kids? And I'm like, yeah, that's not suspicious at all, how he just totally dodged your question.
Like, man, you can't be pulling that shit in Apocalypse.
Yeah,
you need a full dissertation anytime I ask you a question.
Yeah, so he looks at the kids for a
second. Why are your eyes emerald green?
And then he starts tearing down the newspapers, and they're like, "Oh no, who could have seen this coming?" And then finally, the Hufflepuff girl, she had plenty of time to react to him tearing down the newspapers, right? Like, he tore it down, and like people started screaming at him, but she's just like staring at her baby, just not paying attention to anything that happens. And then she looks up out the window.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier when he like opened the window, and like the second she looks out of it, she's like far back in the room, by the way, so you might be able to see like half a foot outside of this window, but the second she looks at the window, she's just fucking taken. Her eyes start turning green.
Yeah, and it just annoyed me again that like she had so much time to react to him pulling down the newspapers and everything, and the window blinds, and of course she still just like looks out like, huh? And she's like about to jump out the window with her baby in her arms, and Sandra Bullock's like, "No, give me the baby." She gives her the baby.
That was probably my favorite part of the movie, is when she died.
Oh yeah, because it was hilarious. Like she just runs like head first out the window, and then just like does like a stilted flip. It's really fucking funny.
Check. That was like straight out of an American Pie script.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
It was really fucking awkward. And then like another nameless old lady that is in the house, like Gary like pries her eyes open to make her look, and I'm like, you can still like roll your eyes back in your head at least a little bit, like.
Yeah, you could look straight up and not be able to see anything.
Yeah, you could struggle like a little bit. You could do anything. This guy's not ripped.
Yeah, she's just kind of like, no.
She's just kind of like, oh, whatever. I guess I'll just, whatever. I'll die. It's fine. It's boring anyway.
Oh, and
I have
then,
to be with John Malkovich, and he's a prick.
Oh, yeah, and then so
I have to listen to all
John
his
Malkovich,
Trump rants.
Yeah. He makes his comeback, and he tussles with Gary. And then Gary stabs him, and it's like, oh no, so sad. Make America great again. I don't know.
I was sad.
And then
that was my saddest death,
I guess. So they fell down the stairs, and he kills him, and then he landed like right next to the shotgun, and Tom is also lying right next to the shotgun, and he just happens to wake up right when they fell, and they're just like both awkwardly like reaching for the shotgun to try and shoot the other first. And I don't understand why they don't just both get up, because like all he did to Tom was he just hit him over the head with a can of food. He didn't do anything to his legs, but he's like, the way he's sitting there on the floor, he's like not even trying to move his legs. He's just like reaching with his arms, like trying to grab this gun. I'm like, get up.
Well, he's like just regaining consciousness, but so I see why you'd be like staggered getting up, but then you do that cheesy shit where it cuts to Sandra Bullock, you hear the gunshot, and then someone's coming in, and she's like, oh please, don't do this, and it's Tom. Ah, what a subversion of expectations. You couldn't have seen that coming at all.
Yeah. Yep, there's a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah, it's strung together by just stupid coincidences.
Yeah. Yeah, so they I mean, aside from that, that's pretty much it. Like,
that's it. That's the whole fuck.
Well, they're almost to
everything that happens in the movie happens in the first half.
Pretty much. I mean, they're like almost at the end of their journey to the sanctuary, and she gets separated from the kids, and then she has her big emotional climax where she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, girl, that I was so mean to you. I mean, I was doing what I needed to keep you alive because you're fucking stupid. But I'm sorry I was mean to you. Please come back to me." And then they run to the sanctuary, and again, like the monsters are like chasing them, and like they're clearly like physically like moving the branches and shit, so they can like clearly like have some sort of physical impact, and yet they can't like do anything to make them take off their blindfolds. Whatever.
Yeah, they can't just like be a gust of wind and blow their blindfolds off.
Yeah.
Or it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, it's just gonna be a hurricane force wind through a forest.
Oh yeah, and then so she goes to the courtyard of the sanctuary, and her doctor from the beginning of the movie is there, and she's just like is totally not surprised to see her. Like Sandra Bullock does not even pretend to be shocked. She's just like, oh hey, what's up? She's just like, you're here.
What's up, B?
That's totally not that surprising. I mean, like, that makes sense. It's just like, again, the biggest fucking coincidence is like, oh, you're here. And it's like supposed to be the completion of her, her arc. She comes full circle, and it's like, see, I told you I could be a good mom, or whatever.
Yeah, even though she's like, oh, what are their names? Boy and girl. And she's like, no, actually, your name is...
Yeah, she only names them out of embarrassment.
Yeah, she names one Olympia, and she's like, this is the sweetest woman I ever knew, even though she's fucking annoying the entire time, and Sandra Bullock never once indicated that she had any positive feelings towards Olympia, but okay.
Or anybody.
And then the boy was named Tom, but the kid knew Tom and saw that Tom died. It's like, Tom died like 2 days ago. And then, it's like one of my favorite parts, where when she looks at Boy and names him Tom, he gives her a hug and goes, Tom! And it's like the cheesiest fucking shit.
And speaking of which... Oh, sorry.
Credits. No, that's it.
Yeah. I was also going to say, like, when Tom dies, like, just after Tom dies is when the beginning of the movie was, that, like, set up the don't you want to know how we got here? But, of course, we don't know that Tom has died at the beginning of the movie. Like, they edit it in such a way that they don't give that away. But, yeah, like, we finally caught up, and we know how we got where we are. And, like, the boy and girl are like, where's Tom? And all she says is, he's not coming with us. And the kids are just like, okay. Like, for all intents and purposes, this is their father,
That was the one shred of joy that they had in their miserable lives, and they're just like, okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, like, he's like, of the two, he's the one that's nice to them, and, like, like, his whole thing is that, like, he inspires hope, like, he gives them things to look forward to in life, despite, how shitty everything is. But yeah, like, he's gone there, like, Sandra Bullock's just like, yeah, he's not coming with us. That's all she says, and they're just like, okay. They don't have anything else to say about that. Yeah.
So what's a good thing that you would give this movie?
I was trying to think of anything, because I don't really like this movie that much, like, at all. But I guess the acting, even though I hate fucking Sandra Bullock, she did a great job, and John Malkovich was good, acting wise. That is.
I think it looks nice. Yeah. Like, I think it's shot.
Is that a cop out?
It's shot really well.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
look
it looks
good.
professional.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like some C grade crap.
The cinematography was good. Yeah.
I'll again give it to the opening scene. I think the very first scene does a good job of grabbing your attention. But I mean, aside from that, yeah, like, again, I thought I was going to defend this movie, but I mean, yeah, it really drops off halfway through. But I guess the flip side of that is I can say, like, the first half of this movie is decently entertaining.
Yeah, that's true. What would you give it out of 10, boys?
5.
Agreed.
I was pretty, like, I was pretty
I didn't
kind of
think you were going to say
neutral
5
on this.
Yeah.
I was, because I actually have it written down as a 5, because, like, it is so painfully fucking average, it has to be a 5.
I guess that's why I've come down so hard on it, is because of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff, like, the acting's good, the scenes look good, everything like that, but then all the stupid shit outweighs it to where it's just perfectly in the middle.
At least,
and that's where we are.
At least we know, how we'd handle this. I mean, fuck the supermarket guy, Charlie. I mean, we know how the essential workers would be treated in this scenario. He'd have to go into work at the supermarket with a blindfold on.
Nobody be wearing their fucking blindfolds, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. That's not right.
It's a conspiracy. It's a hoax.
Yeah, 5 out of 10.
My eyes, my life.
My
when
eyes,
it's
my
convenient
choice.
for me.
I can't be mildly inconvenienced.
Yeah.
Oh yes, Harlan's trivia hour.
Okay, some of these are good. Some of these are. Meh. All right, so cast members said John Malkovich had a bizarre connection with the birds on set. If he told the birds to move their feet, they would.
He seems like the kind of guy that could have governance over animals. So
He's a beast master.
oh yeah, that's another thing. They found the birds in a cage at the supermarket just sitting there. Just so I'd throw that out there real
the
quick.
entire purpose of the
and
birds
also-
is because they're supposed to chirp whenever the beings are nearby. So
Oh yeah, and that's the
Sorry.
twist. That's the twist is that the movie's actually called Bird Box because the sanctuary
birds
that
are
they
in a-
get to is the bird box, and the humans
Yeah,
live
they're
in the
stuck
bird
in a
box.
giant box until they die.
Yeah.
That's great.
love
And
it.
yeah, like you said, they find those birds at the supermarket, but that was like after they, locked up in the house for like at least 2 weeks. So I don't know how those birds are still alive. But anyway,
I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
there's lots of
There's
shit
some
like
trivia.
that in this movie. Sandra Bullock ran into the camera a couple times when she was blindfolded. I wish
Who
they
could have
left it
seen
in.
that coming? Not her.
Nice.
Okay, so this one's actually pretty interesting. The movie included footage from a real-life Canadian disaster scene. On June 6, 2013, a freight train carrying crude oil derailed and exploded in Lac Mégantic, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that. Somewhere in Quebec, killing 47 people. On January 21st, 2019, Netflix apologized for including the footage, but refused to remove it from the movie. Netflix removed
See,
the
that's
clip of the
kinda
same
tasteless.
disaster. Oh, yeah. Netflix removed a clip of the same disaster from Travelers. On March 14th, 2019, Netflix announced that it will remove the Quebec footage from the movie. Yeah, it's kind of fucked
What
up.
the fuck?
Yeah, they
Well,
use
I mean,
like they use like actual like disaster footage where like 47 people died.
What fucking
Most
assholes?
movies do that. Most movies do that, though. Like every disaster movie, you see news footage, they get that from somewhere.
They're not showing like
fucked up.
direct
Like,
people dying unless it's like a 9/11 thing.
I think so many people does it that doesn't even fucking matter. But I mean, I guess I could see why the families and shit would be upset. But that's really nothing new.
Yeah, all the great parents showing their kiddies this fucking horrible movie.
Yeah.
This horrible,
Script through
violent
any movie with news footage and people's deaths are directly related to it.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard of it happening in another, but yeah, that just stuck out to me. It was fucked up. Trent Reznor told Variety that he felt scoring this movie was a waste of time because they mixed the music so low you couldn't hear it anyway.
There was music in this?
Yeah, it was Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who are both fantastic whenever they score movies. And I didn't even fucking know that until 20 seconds ago, when right before you said it, Harlan, when I looked on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, the music
What a
was such an
waste.
afterthought. Yeah, it was.
I saw his name at the credits, and then I was like, huh. But now that you mention it, like, yeah, I can't even think of a piece of music in it.
There was not one point in this movie where I even noticed the music.
I got a paycheck, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him though. I mean, I'm sure he put a lot of time into
Good
it.
for
That
him.
sucks.
Yeah.
In a December 21st, 2018 interview with Bloody Disgusting, it was mentioned that the producers wanted the creatures to appear at some point. They even designed a creature and shot a scene with one. Sandra Bullock described the creatures as, quote, a green man with a horrific baby face. It was discarded because it made the scene funny. So, if you were wondering
That's
what the creatures
awesome.
looked like, a green man with a horrific baby face,
So nothing like the drawings. Is that why they did the drawings?
I guess.
Because Cthulhu is
And yeah,
scary,
I
I
mean,
guess.
I do think that was for the better. It held the tone of the movie a little bit more. But yeah, just imagine if we saw it and it was just a green man with a baby face. There you have it.
I think I would have enjoyed it more. Could you imagine him just running through the woods?
Yeah, no, that's it for my trivia. Oh shit.
And that's it
Nice.
for Bird Box.
Yep.
What we watching next time?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Let's let the wheel decide.
Wheel.
Please give me one of the movies I've been hoping for. I'm gonna spin again. I don't want to watch that one. If it's not
Just
another one, I'll
choose it. God damn.
if it's not another one that I actually want to do, I'll just fucking
If
fix
you're-
it again. All right,
Again, we watched Wish Upon. You gotta
shit.
go with this shit.
guys. Next week we are talking about the 2015 movie, Fan4stic Four.
Oh my god.
I was actually thinking about that one. I was kind of like, when's he gonna pull that one out?
Oh my god.
Well, I'm pretty stoked about that because I just finished reading all of Amazing Spider-Man, and now I'm reading the Lee and Kirby run of Fantastic Four. So it'll put it in a whole new light. I mean, I hated that movie when I saw it in theaters, and I haven't seen it since. But now that I'm actually reading the original Fantastic Four run, it's gonna piss me off all over again, in a whole new way.
It's got like a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, man. Have you seen that shit?
Yep. Yep. So Fantastic Four.
All right.
We'll
might
see
have
you
a
then.
runner-up to Battlefield Earth.
Oh shit! You know what? You're right. This movie actually might be as bad or worse.
I guess we'll find out.
All right. We'll see you guys next week for Fantastic Four.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.
You're trash, bro.
I need a second, okay? Why can't anybody give me a goddamn second?
Hold on. You dig on multiverses?
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Cover my eyes! Ah!
That's it. What, we some kind of